So we're constantly going over individualized breakdowns and analysis on how to qualify for credit cards per bank, per credit union. What is a ground floor credit profile and credit score that you need to be able to qualify for any bank, for any credit union's top credit cards? That's what we need to talk about. The first thing you're going to need to have is a strong credit profile, and that means a strong credit history. A ground floor to that is going to be at least 2 years in credit history. You're going to want to also have a robust enough credit profile, because when lenders are looking at your credit profile, what they're basically trying to do is assess your financial behaviors and habits, and they need enough data points to be able to gauge that. So what that basically means is somebody with a 680 credit score with 15 years of credit history and 10 different trade lines is going to come out better in most cases than somebody with a 740 credit score but only one trade line on their account with a 2-year credit history. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. You need to have a robust enough credit profile that goes back far enough. They cannot determine your financial behavior from 7 months of credit usage on 2 credit cards. It's just not enough. They need to be able to look back at least a couple years and see at least 5 or more trade lines on your credit report. That's the bare minimum. And more importantly, or at least equally as important, is a diverse enough credit profile. So if you do have 5 trade lines, at least 2 of those need to be some type of installment history. That could be student loans, auto loans, some kind of fixed recreational loan, motorcycle loan, boat loan. Could also be obviously home loan or a personal loan. Just needs to be some kind of installment history. One of my favorites when you're intentionally trying to build up your credit profile is secured loans. The pledge loan that you hear from Navy Federal, that whole little strategy, you can do that at most local banks and credit unions, and that will build out your profile and give you installment history. You also need revolving history, obviously. In this case, credit cards will do just fine. You need to have, again, quick recap, at least 2 years history, at least 5 trade lines, ideally more. They don't even start to look at it as a robust profile on a larger scale until you're at about 10, maybe even 20 trade lines on your profile before it's kind of like solid in the eyes of a lender. So 5 is honestly just breaking the ground floor barrier of entry, where most banks and credit unions will look at that and say, okay, this is enough for me to assess. So we got 2 years credit history, 5 trade lines, a mix between at least 2 to 3 installment loans, 2 to 3 revolving accounts. From that point on, you're going to want to have credit limits that are at least at about $5,000 or more. Most premium cards at any institution are going to have a ground floor starting limit of $10,000. So that basically means that you cannot get that card if you cannot be approved for at least a $10,000 limit. So if we're trying to make sure that we can get in at any bank and any credit union at the top level with credit cards, you need to have at least around a $5,000 to $10,000 base limit on at least one credit card that you've had for at least 1 to 2 years. You can't just have it 3 to 4 months ago. That's not going to be long enough. At least 1 to 2 years, 2 years being more ideal. Get that out of the way. Then you want to look at your founding or baseline credit score. A 720 should do it. Again, going to be a lot of nuances to this because we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of lending standards. But again, a good baseline is going to be around a 720. So 2 years credit history, minimum of 5 trade lines, a balanced split between installment and revolving history, at least $5,000 to $10,000 in base credit limits on at least one card for at least 1 to 2 years. And then you want to have around a 720. This is going to give you, now obviously there's some basic caveats in here. You can't have negative derogatory items on your credit report. That almost will certainly rule you out for many institutions, or at least many top tier credit cards. And you can't have too many inquiries or too many new accounts. That's very important. You don't want to have too many recent inquiries, at least, and too many new accounts. What's recent? In most cases, 6 months is about a baseline. A year, 6 months to a year is about a baseline. You don't want to have any more than about 2 or 3 in less than a 6-month period, right? Or you're going to have certain banks. Chase is really inquiry sensitive in that case, or new account sensitive. Same thing with inquiries and new accounts. No more than about 2 in about 6 months. Same thing on inquiries. You got institutions like Amex, American Express, not as sensitive. But again, this video is around trying to qualify across the board with as many institutions with the same credit profile and score, like your baseline. You want to have a minimum or a maximum rather, of maybe about 2 new accounts or 2 inquiries in a 6-month period. Very important. No late payments, no collections, no charge-offs, no judgments, tax liens, etc. Especially in the last 4 years or so, if you want a really good shot. Ideally, none at all. So to put this together really quickly, you want to have at least 2 years credit history, at least 5 trade lines, at least a split of around 2 to 3 of each on your credit report between revolving and installment history. Credit limit, base limit, $5,000 to $10,000. 720 credit score at the ground floor, no derogatories, not too many inquiries or recent accounts, which we're going to consider about 2 every 6 months. To be anything beyond that to be too much for most lenders. So this is a good formula for you to base your credit profile and credit score off of. Plenty other nuances that go into this. Being verifiable, identifiable, we're going to shoot a whole nother video on the income side of this. But again, just from a credit profile, credit score baseline, this will get you in the door pretty high level at almost any credit union or any banking institution. I want you to comment down below and let me know how close or beyond your credit profile is, or far back your credit profile and score is from this metric. Let me know if you think this is solid enough or you would add to this. What else would you add to this, sticking to the credit profile and credit score side, that would be valuable here? We didn't talk about utilization, so please, if you want to throw that in the comment section, let me know what you think about where your utilization needs to be. We could talk about that as well. Other than that, to all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. Want to learn more about myself and the channel, start in the description section and work your way to the about section on the channel. Other than that, I want y'all to stay focused, stay in motion. See y'all soon. This is JP from Blueprint for Prosperity Network, a channel dedicated to helping you increase your net worth through relationship banking, maximizing your borrowing capacity, the proper use of life insurance, and the ownership of real estate. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'm uploading content on a daily basis to help you customize your blueprint for prosperity.